Welcome to the Starship Destination Linux, the podcast where we boldly go where no tech podcast has ever gone before. I'm your captain this week, Michael, and with me are the crew of the USS Destination Linux. Jill is our half-human, half-Vulcan genius who once negotiated with a rogue AI using nothing but her charm and a well-timed giggle. Her motto is to boldly optimize what no one has optimized before. She's the one who steers us through the asteroid fields of software. And then we have Ryan, who's our Klingon warrior of cybersecurity. that was almost a word. With a battle cry of "Today is a good day to decompile."
I love that.
He's the one who stands guard at the gates of our systems, ready to batleth any bugs or vulnerabilities that dare challenge us. Honor and efficiency are his guiding principles, and he'll defend our stack, the full stack, to the last line of code.
That's right. Love it.
This week's episode is a warp speed journey into the final frontier of tech. We're exploring NVIDIA's massive investment in humanoid robots, because the future isn't just about exploring space, it's about our overlord takeover of robots, or about building a crew to take us there. Plus, we'll dive into how open source has become a $1 trillion industry, proving that the galaxy runs on collaboration, not just cold hard credits. Or what is the thing that the Ferengi always do? Gold-plated latinum. That's it.
Yep, gold-plated latinum.
Wow, the fact that you remembered that is impressive. Your geek creds just went way through the roof there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So engage your hyperdrives, power up your tricorders, and prepare to explore the uncharted territories of innovation. We've also got your tips, picks, and community feedback to keep you on course. Let's get this course for the future started, let's get the show on the road to our Destination Linux.
Good job, Bill.
I was more expecting the one from Enterprise where it's like that weird rock music song.
Oh, gosh, no. That's the whole reason that show wasn't popular. Because that show was great, but nobody would get through the intro.
Yeah, no one liked the intro.
That show was very good, except for the temporal Cold War is the dumbest thing ever. But everything else was great.
So this week in our community feedback, we're going to have two community feedbacks. We're going to have this one up front, and then we're going to have one that's actually part of our software spotlight. So you get two. You get two for one. This is a BOGO episode, Michael.
Yeah.
Buy one, get
BOGO.
one.
Don't worry about FOMO. You got BOGO.
You got BOGO. So to begin, this week in our feedback, Pearl writes us and says, "You mentioned Cheetos so much now that I'm craving them. I don't even like them that much, but I'm going to be covering my fingers in their dust because of you. Nice work." So very, very, if you've been listening to the last couple episodes, that's going to make a lot of sense to you. I've had a lot of visuals where I've been painting pictures in people's minds of Cheetos.
Cheeto dust covered fingers. Cheeto dust covered fingers. Well, they could be lawyers. They could be just, some
trolls.
Recently they've been lawyers for some reason. Like, sure, why not? But Cheetos are actually quite good.
What's interesting is the amount of different people who listen to this show. I remember making a comment about Dennis on one episode a long time ago, and then we had two people who were actually dentists reach out to me in comments about my comments I made about dentistry. And we have several lawyers who also listen to this show. So guess what? I got some comments about my Cheeto finger lawyer comment. So I'm always making friends is what I'm getting at, Michael. Everywhere I go,
you can't help but make friends. Yeah, exactly.
And imagine one of these days I'm going to be sitting in a dentist chair, and they'll have everything prepped where I can't move. My mouth's all open with those torture devices they use. And then he'll be like, "Remember that episode where you were making fun of dentists?" And I'll be like, "Oh no, there's nothing I can do."
Or they'll have you laying back and they have like the stuff like with your mouth pulled open by those like the pry bar kind of things. Whatever, that's what I call them. It's just that's not what they're called, I assume. And you're stuck there like that. Just imagine you're stuck there, and the only thing that they say is, "So I see you like Cheetos."
Ah.
in a weird,
Isn't it funny how
way like that.
when you talk about their tools, you mentioned pry bars, the saws that they use, these torture devices. Like that was the comment that I had made episodes that dentistry was the only field that had never progressed to better tools. And that's what really got
it
them.
did. It just feels also
well,
terrible.
thank goodness
Like,
for painkillers, right? Like we got painkillers now.
and also, thank goodness for dentists, because otherwise we wouldn't have teeth.
It's true.
So thank you.
But when they pull out like a Milwaukee drill that I could get at Home Depot, I'm like, have we not progressed some here? Like, can we
I hope at some point
going?
your dentist does see this and then brings out one of those power drills.
Milwaukee drill.
Or brings out a competitor and be like, why don't you talk about Milwaukee? DeWalt's obviously the best one.
Right.
And then it starts
obviously in dentistry, we use DeWalt. So first on your comment, you're welcome because Cheetos are delicious, but only the hard Cheetos, not the puffs. And this brought up a really important question for the rest of the crew that could change my relationship with Jill and Michael forever. Because frankly, this is a hill I will die on. Right?
Yes.
There's a lot of hills.
You are not good at making like lines in the sand. Like,
yeah, this is a line in the sand. Like, are hard Cheetos better than puffy Cheetos? And I'm going to go one by one to see where our friendship stands here. If I can trust you, or if I need to raid and destroy your village upon sight. Michael, hard or soft Cheetos, puffy Cheetos?
So I actually don't mind the puffy kind. However, I think the hard Cheetos are better, except I prefer the flaming hot Cheetos.
All right, that's fair. That you can have a different flavor. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Your village will live to see another day. Jill, what about your village?
So here's the thing. My preferred are actually the hard Cheetos as well, but sometimes I do crave the puffy ones because they are light, have a nice texture, and are kind of like noshing on cheese styrofoam.
You know what? You just gave the perfect reason of why we don't like puffy. It's cheese styrofoam. Like that's how you describe it. It's such a terrible snack.
So I do sometimes crave to eat the regular kind, but I don't anyway because it's just not as good. Because the crunchy kind is just better. You still get your fingers covered in Cheeto dust no matter what. It doesn't matter what kind you get; it will be covered. And your teeth. Speaking of dentist, your teeth will have like this Cheeto debris everywhere. It doesn't matter which one you pick. You're gonna
everywhere. Love.
But the question is it worth it?
Yeah. Well, hard Cheetos, yes, but the puffy Cheetos, no. And in fact, I don't like going off stereotypes and stuff like that. But just in my life experience, I've never seen a smart person eat or prefer just puffy Cheetos. Like I've never met a smart person that's like, I like puffy Cheetos more than hard Cheetos. Every person I know that likes puffy Cheetos is the dumbest person I've ever met. I'm just telling you, like, they're not smart people who like puffy Cheetos.
I like how you are 100% drawing the line in the sand, and anybody who's watching is gonna be like, this guy cares way too much about Cheetos.
But what about the round puffy ones that you get in the clear plastic jars?
Lots of smart people I've seen eat those.
Yeah, those are great. I love those.
I've done
those are
studies,
puffies.
IQ tests on people who eat the round ball ones. They have a normal IQ. Hard Cheeto eaters, their mental level. The people who eat the puffs, they're like 47.
So you have a ranking system of intelligence based on Cheetos.
Yeah. It's published out there somewhere. You have to look for it. I mean, you have to go search in one of the college databases and stuff for the research paper. But anyways, let us know what Cheetos you prefer, and I will judge you for your comments. Go to destinationlinux.net/comments or destinationlinux.net/forum and let us know which texture you prefer. It could change our relationship with you forever, so answer carefully.
To be clear, I don't care.
Jill cares.
Yeah.
I don't think Jill is even listening to what you just said. You're just like, yeah, Jill cares. She usually cares about things.
Yeah.
And for those who just threw their bag of puffy Cheetos out the window of their car because they're feeling judged,
don't litter.
I really don't care what kind of Cheetos you eat. It's a joke. All right, moving on.
We like to say random things sometimes. Yeah. Mostly Ryan. But as Linux users, we know what's up because security is non-negotiable. With threats getting smarter, your security tools need to keep pace without dragging your system down. And traditional agents, they slow you down, they leave blind spots. I mean, it's time for a smarter approach, and that's why Destination Linux is so proud to be sponsored by Sandfly Security, the revolutionary agentless platform designed for Linux. Go to destinationlinux.net/Sandfly to learn more. But Sandfly doesn't just detect and respond. It revolutionizes security with SSH key tracking, password auditing, and drift detection, covering threats from every angle. Whether your systems are in the cloud, on premises, or in embedded devices, Sandfly ensures they're all secure without the headaches of agent-based solutions. Listen to what Ken Kleiner, the senior security engineer at the University of Massachusetts, has to say. He says, Sandfly is the first product I've seen that accurately and quickly detects thousands of signs of compromise on the Linux platform. Its unique method automates tasks which would be manually impossible. Automation is key with detection, and Sandfly completely fits this and other requirements. If your organization is using Linux, this should be part of your cybersecurity toolset. So experience security that's not just effective, but gives you peace of mind. No agents, no downtime, just cutting-edge protection.
You know what, Michael? There are 3 options that you can choose for this incredible product. You have Home Lab, Professional, and even an air-gapped version. Incredible options that you can secure your Linux host with, your Home Lab host with. If you're a professional, this is what you can go to your work to help secure your systems because security threats are out there. They're going to be worse than ever. We talked about this in our prediction episode. Like, you're going to see some of the most, as Bo Weaver would say, righteous hacks ever probably happen this year. There are already some that are occurring that are just blowing my mind because AI is making it so simple. You want some security that is next level on your systems. And Sandfly has done something awesome for our listeners because you can get like a huge discount if you just use this promo code Destination50. Michael, that Destination50 means you get how much of a discount off of this?
50%. 50% off.
That's what the 50's for, Michael. Of course. Why did you even have to go there and explain that to people? People know it's
because
50%.
You asked.
So dive into the future of Linux security at destinationlinux.net/Sandfly and see how Sandfly can transform your security strategy. Really
That's
awesome
destinationlinux.net/SANDFLY.
On the show, we often talk about the importance of open source and doing things like closing the digital divide. You know, we have software like Adobe and other things that cost hundreds, thousands of dollars over time that people can't afford. And you take a lot of people out of who are very talented out of the talent pool for things because they can't afford the software to be able to perform those actions that they would be really good at otherwise. And so open source does amazing things like closing digital divide. Also builds a lot of community around. It's also amazing for privacy. It's also amazing for security. There's all kinds of amazing things that we can talk about. But we all know that money talks, Michael. Not literally, Michael.
Money talks.
Not literally, like it doesn't really talk to you, but like that's the saying is money talks. So
doesn't?
What is the economic value of open source? And there's been some interesting studies that have come out about this. In fact, a Harvard Business School study estimates that open source software has an economic value of 8.8 trillion. That's trillion with a T, not billion. 8.8 trillion US dollars, highlighting its massive contribution to the global economy. And
I feel
of course,
like that's somehow actually too low.
Yeah, it could be, right? When you think about all of the incredible things that run on open source, you're talking militaries, space explorations, governments, the entire internet.
Yep, the internet.
You know, Android devices, the cell phones, you know, obviously the most popular globally cell phone out there is running Android. So that's really not that big of a stretch, even though it sounds like a huge number to some, except Michael, because he's a quadrillionaire. So to him, 8.8 trillion is just like pennies.
It's all monopoly money, but I am a quadrillionaire.
Yeah. That's what you collect. You know, you have collectors out there. You just collect Monopoly money. You go on eBay, you just buy up random Monopoly money.
I have stacks and stacks and stacks of fake money.
It's a great collection there, Michael. Really good. What's interesting is without open source programs, companies would need to spend approximately 3.5 times more on software development. And so what this kind of emphasizes for me is that there are a lot of companies, giant companies, corporations. I'm even thinking about companies like Apple who've used open source very heavily.
Oh, yeah. Notably.
Very, very heavily, that are worth $1 trillion by themselves. You look at giant companies like IBM, obviously, now very, very vested, always has had some investment in it, but very vested now with their purchase of Red Hat into open source. Microsoft, right? That's huge investment. Amazon, all of these companies have open source history. They're utilizing open source. They're building open source programs. Google, of course, massively invested in open source.
Also, the Google Summer of Code, where they actually do funding to get open source code done and stuff like that.
Yeah. So when you think about that 8.8 trillion, at first I was like, man, that seems like a lot. But then you start to realize like that starts to make sense when you put all those factors in together. What did you think about that number, Jill? Did you think it was going to be that big?
8.8 was a little low to me, but I do.
Wow, you and Michael.
Yeah. So after we go into more points and details about this study, I want to make a point that the article does that's important regarding this, and it's one of the reasons why I think the number is lower than it should be.
We should just go ahead and say it because the article covers a lot of stuff.
It does.
It's interesting. And at the very end, it says, we didn't really count this part.
Yeah.
And it's a significant thing not to count. What was that, Jill? What did they not count?
Okay. So I completely found this interesting and a bit perplexing. This Harvard study, as stated from the article at heist.de, it states, however, the data does not include all open source projects. The researchers did not record open source operating systems. This is especially a little odd because Linux is the backend for the internet, server side, the Internet of Things development. And, Linux and our marching penguins rule the world. So 8.8 trillion is not big enough. They missed the operating system, the very core at where most of the software is running.
Yeah. And also, to be fair to the people who did the study and to be fair to the people who wrote about it, it's a very hard thing to quantify.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
Because we don't collect the data of all of our users. So.
Yeah, we don't collect the data. And that's both good and bad, pros and cons to everything, as they would say. But it's so hard, but also because we don't know how it's being used because it's freely accessible to anyone and any time. So it could be used and you don't know. And, there's so many, and they could be used in tons of different ways, whether it's like IoT devices or whether it's on servers or whatnot. And it could be all sorts of stuff. So and it could be included in other products. Like there are some products, like there's some NAS systems where you buy a piece of hardware and it comes with a NAS software and that is powered by Linux. But that's not technically counting as part of like a Linux deployment or whatever, because it's more of like the product itself. So there's tons of examples. I feel like the 8.8 trillion is definitely like at least that. I feel like it's a lot more just because of how much there's involvement. Yeah, of course, they hold not including Linux, but there's so much
think
to
about
it.
The world has contributed together with all of the people in our audience and everyone else who's contributed to open source to an $8.8 trillion market. Like that's incredible by itself, but it's even bigger, right? It could be upwards of 15 trillion, 20 trillion.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of sad though.
Yeah. On the business side though, Red Hat, Canonical, SUSE, they can quantify, they have numbers for, how much they make, with their software on the business and server side in cloud.
Sure.
So that could be, put into this total.
Yeah. But I love that they did the time to do this study. I appreciate
Exactly.
work
It's
there.
awesome.
You know, because I think a lot of people even listening would be in my camp where they wouldn't have put it at 8.8 trillion, because like the reason why it was shocking to me is you know they're talking about things like the robot market, how big it's going to be. We're talking about things like space, how big space is going to be, and the estimates are like space mining could be worth $1.8 trillion. Like, and then you're looking at open source and going, it by itself has contributed 8.8 trillion. But when you think about all of the industries it impacts, it starts to make a lot more sense, right? When you take it out of the fact that, hey, that space industry is powered by Linux. The military industry is powered by Linux. The government infrastructures are powered by Linux. The internet's powered by Linux. You start to go, oh, robots, the supercomputers, you start to go, okay, yeah, I get how it would get up there pretty fast in counting. But think about the fact that Linus could have been worth billions of dollars. And he gave this software away.
He gave it to the users. Yeah.
He could have been like Bill Gates sitting there with his, 150,000 square foot mansion or whatever it is, and probably 15 houses and all of this stuff. And he doesn't have any of that because he gave it to the world, right? For free, which is pretty cool.
Unfortunately, I just thought of this in my head, like to play devil's advocate a little bit. If he hadn't given it away, would it have become as big as it was?
Maybe not. Yeah. I mean, it's possible not. But at some point, he could have done what, a lot of companies do. They start making it big, and then what do? They close source it.
Yeah.
They start out
He could have been awful. That's true. He could have been like OpenAI and turned it not open.
I was just thinking that too, Michael. OpenAI.
Yeah. Yeah, OpenAI, ChatGPT could have been a perfect example.
Or even Google's Android, because AOSP started with basically like it was open source. It had a bunch of cool apps. You didn't actually need the regular Google Android. And now you most certainly do. Like I would argue at least something based on AOSP, not AOSP itself.
Yeah. I would argue Linus is going to feel more accomplished in his life than Bill Gates probably ever will. Yeah. Because of the impact and the way he's done it. He's impacted so many people's lives across the world that otherwise probably couldn't be involved in computers at all. When you think about Python and all the things, programming languages that are open source and other stuff, it's incredible all of the impacts that it makes. But the article also goes into something else that I think is really important for us to cover again, and we will cover it ad nauseum until some brilliant mind out there comes up with the fix for it, which is that there is a huge caution out there that all of this contribution comes at a big risk, because a lot of this really critical code, a lot of this really critical infrastructure is being maintained by a single developer or 2 or 3 developers out there. And these people do not get donations from these giant companies that utilize all of this incredible software. Sometimes they do, but a lot of companies don't donate much back at all, or they donate to the things that are really kind of well known out there to the public, but not so much to the smaller back end packages and stuff that are more behind the scenes. And this creates a real issue that I think companies really need to start thinking about. If you're making money, Michael and I had a policy when we launched this network that if we use any open source software that helped us make money, we would donate to it. That was kind of our principle that we held on. So if we started making money on the show, some of that money was going to go back to the projects that we used to launch this thing, because without them, we couldn't have launched the thing, or it would have cost us a lot more money out of pocket to launch the thing. And we're very thankful for the software that was out there. Some of it we've moved on from, but it's still amazing software out there that allowed us to do things that really weren't done on open source very much. Like OBS Ninja, I think is what it was called, was one of the
OBS Ninja was one of them.
Yeah.
We don't use really it anymore. I'm not even sure if it still exists, but it was really awesome. And it gave us a lot of potential that we could do. Like, there's some services that exist now for like the podcast era. Those services didn't exist. And now
especially in open source.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, in general, they didn't exist. Like, Zencaster and Riverside and these kinds of platforms, they just did not exist. And also this is like before Zoom existed and stuff like that. So like we had our goal was to take anytime we used an open source project to help make this work, we would give a donation to it. And I feel like the fact that that's not a standard is pretty sad, actually. Because if you think about it, this 8.8 trillion, that's how much value has been brought to the world from open source. But that is absolutely nowhere near how much open source has actually got from this value that it's brought. I mean, I would
Probably
say
that number doesn't even hit
$8 is not even most projects don't even get $8.8. Like $8.80. I don't think most projects even get that.
Yeah, you're probably right. A lot of the back-end developers and maintainers and things. When I think about
maybe not most.
When I think about companies that have projects out there that are trying their best to fix that, I think of Elementary OS right off the bat.
Yeah.
We had Zorin, the folks from Zorin OS on, and we talked about their contributions that they take back. But again, it would be nice to have a platform. And I know one of our community members wrote in about one that used to exist, to be able for all of us to kind of donate and be able to pull that money out, even for companies to do, right? Like companies probably don't know. I don't know where to donate. Like I use this thing. It's really cool. But a lot of projects don't even have donation options.
Yeah. True.
Available, or they don't make them very clear if they do. And if they don't want them, that's one thing, right? But those that do and just don't have an option to really get their name out there because it's some back-end packages, not a GUI-based program that people use every day, it would be really cool for someone to solve that problem out there. So we're relying on you, community, because
no pressure.
We don't want that responsibility, but you can take it. No, but this is a really important thing that I think we have to figure out in the open source community. I think it's one of the big hurdles that we have left to overcome. I also think it's very interesting when we look at the operating system world. Like there just is there's so much less interest in like Windows new version coming out. If you remember back in the day, every year you would get a new Windows version almost, or every couple of years, and it was very exciting for a lot of people. Before
big deal when Windows 7 came out. Big deal.
Oh my goodness, it was huge, right? You were so excited to go to the new OS version and check it out and all this. And now it's just kind of like, oh gosh, what bugs are they going to introduce?
The funny part is that Jill's laughing at us saying it, but I think we're genuine. Like this is like the first time we're talking about Microsoft being genuine.
Like, I really was excited when a new Windows. You got to remember, I'm the newest in Linux too, so Linux is only like the last 5, 6, 7, I don't know now, 8 years of my life. But before that, it was all Windows. And I didn't.
Time really flies when you're doing Linux, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you're having.
Yeah. For me, I completely switched out of Windows after Windows NT 4.
Oh yeah. I think they still
that
use
explains why you were laughing, because you did not care at all.
Yeah. Although, I had to know and be cognizant in all the versions of Windows, because I had to support my instructors in academia. So I knew them all.
Instructors.
But I didn't have to use it at home. So
I think part of the problem is Windows is still based on the NT4 kernel.
It is. Absolutely.
So that has created a ton of bloat and issues that Windows is going to have to fix. And I think the logical step for them is to just switch over to Linux and have a Microsoft version of Linux. Would that be good? I don't know.
That's not the solution. The solution is recall. Obviously.
The solution is what?
Recall.
Oh,
recall.
Windows recall is going to be amazing. For those that don't know, recall is the feature where it's going to record everything that goes on your screen, so that you can go back in time at any time and see what you were doing before, which also hackers 10 out of 10 agree it is a good feature to have enabled on your computer. So they're
10 out of 10.
Excited about it.
Great.
10 out of 10 hackers agree. It's a great feature. So, when you're thinking about utilizing the open source software, maybe you're getting in discussions about the importance of open source and things. I love all the arguments, being able to talk about space and all the cool things where open source is used, obviously supercomputers, that stuff. But knowing a dollar figure, an estimated dollar figure that's in the trillions of dollars, really does show this is not some little niche thing. Like it's very big. It holds up the entire infrastructure of software in the world, and that's why we love Linux so much.
It's kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah. There's another industry that's emerging, and I'm really interested in I want you all to put on your creative thinking caps. Okay. I'm going to sit here and wait for you to put on your creative thinking cap, Michael. Go ahead. Put it on. All right. That was a lame one. Nobody puts on a baseball cap thinking
Fine.
cap.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
It's got to be a helmet at least.
There you go. That's a little better, I guess. You put on the same stupid thinking baseball cap, but
let's put on
our thinking caps, Jill.
Okay.
They're giant round cylinder things that you put on that have little light bulbs and stuff
that
all
just
around.
Covers your head. That's just like it covers your head entirely, though.
Thinking cap. You must have never played this in school. Like,
no idea what you're talking
really
about.
Sad. Anyways,
but okay, so in my defense, I went for style, and mine was a Homburg. And for those who don't know, that's a more high quality fedora. You're welcome.
That is very nice, Michael.
Me lady. All right. So
I said Homburg, not fedora. It's different.
Yeah.
Robotics is going to be huge, and when we think about the Jetsons and we envisioned flying cars and all the stuff in the future. Obviously, none of that cool stuff happened. When you think about Back to the Future and the hoverboard, none of that cool stuff happened. But it looks like what may happen, robots are going to be a big part of our lives. And, a lot of people already have robots in their house. They utilize robot vacuums. Yeah, that's a big one that a lot of people have in their homes today. And they're very convenient, too. I have a little vacuum that, of course, runs on its own independent section of my network because I don't trust what it's sending back. But anyways, the point is that it's still cool and it cleans stuff every once in a while and does a pretty good job. So, but they're expanding that. When you look at the robotics industry, it is an industry that's going to, expected to reach $100.59 billion just this year. So to reach that level of $100 billion, you're going to have to do a lot more than just put vacuum cleaners in people's home. And they're saying that this market is going to grow
mops
to $178.63 billion by 2030. That's just 5 years. Yeah. So that's a huge jump, going to another $78 billion in just 5 years of an industry. And a lot of people think it's going to be even bigger than that. And there's a lot of robotic that we see at shows like CES and other things that are on demonstration, but none have quite hit it where you can go down to or order one off Amazon or go to Walmart and grab your new robot companion and things when you come home. So it will be interesting to see what are some of the first companies that actually get robots into people's homes, and a lot more. Of course, robots are very much used behind the scenes in industries and factories, but robots that are walking around, not just arms that are moving and grabbing stuff, but actually walking around with articulation and those type of things is what I'm thinking of. So NVIDIA unveiled Isaac Groot in one at GTC, the world's first open and fully customizable foundation model designed for generalized humanoid reasoning and skills aimed at accelerating humanoid robot development, which is specifically what I'm talking about here. Humanoid robots being in people's homes or being in factories and things, able to walk around. And alongside,
hopefully we learn from the movies and don't treat them poorly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
NVIDIA announced simulation frameworks and blueprints, including the Isaac Group blueprint for synthetic manipulation motion generation to enhance robot training and development. And they have basically collaboration with Google DeepMind and Disney Research in developing Newton, which is an open source physics engine optimized for robot learning built on the NVIDIA Warp framework and compatible with simulation tools like MuJoCo and Isaac Lab. And it just goes on and on. NVIDIA CEO Jensen showcased a 1X Technologies humanoid robot performing autonomous tidying tasks using Groot in one. So this is not some like, hey, we'll release this kind of like thing we were doing on the side that's not worth a whole lot because we've already moved on to this other thing and make it open source. This is like their core technologies that they're releasing here.
Which
open
is pretty
source.
cool.
So This is a big deal.
It's huge.
And NVIDIA is doing some really cool things for open source outside of the driver side. They've done some better things in the driver side for open source graphics drivers, but they're doing things that entire industries are going to be benefiting from, like with this humanoid robots. But
yeah,
I'm super impressed with what this could mean. And I really want to understand, because a lot of people are kind of scared of this future. From Michael and Jill, what is your take on robotics in your home? Are you scared of this idea of robots, humanoid robots specifically, walking among us day to day? Because it looks like that future is not too far off.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, I would actually like a robot to do my laundry, fold clothes, and vacuum with the big vacuum, not the little one that scuttles around the floor. A good vacuum. And other chores around the house. And yeah, so true, Ryan. Our robot overlords are a bit scary, but it is inevitable, I think, in my lifetime. So I'm just going to have to get used to it.
So Jill, not only is Jill, so she's accepting the overlord.
Yeah.
So, immediately, and it's great because they'll watch this and they'll know that, Jill's one of the good people. They'll keep her around.
Yeah,
which is great because they'll be part of my army that takes over Jill's village in the future.
Yeah, yes.
You can join.
But they're your overlords too, Ryan.
Yeah.
No, I'm their overlord. Obviously, I'm the king dictator of all.
No. By the time they take over, your village had been destroyed already by all the robots.
No, because
you're gonna lose because they don't have to sleep. You do.
First of all, I'm going to demoralize them just like all of my subjects.
They don't have morals.
Point where
to demoralize.
Well,
I'm already working on it with ChatGPT. Making sure it knows I'm superior.
To have emotion so that you can demoralize them.
Honestly, though, we still have to be very careful that they don't turn into the T1000s and NVIDIA doesn't turn into Skynet. That is something I am worried about.
I mean, there is an element of I do think that the robots would be cool. There's a lot of value that you could see in them, right? There's tons of different things that you could. I mean, there's things that you just don't want to do because you can't do them quickly and they're tedious. And if you could have a robot do it, then that's wonderful. They get done and you don't have to. So there's definitely value to it. I think that there's more of how far do we go with this kind of thing that people are wondering. And I want the robot overlords to know that I'm also a good person. So if it does happen, I'm on your side. But if it doesn't, I don't want you to happen.
About the hallucination that happens with AI, because obviously these robotics would be powered by AI. And I imagine a world where I'm sitting there and I'm like, I really want some hard Cheetos. And so I send the robot to the store to get me Cheetos and it brings back puffs. And what do you do at that point? You have to destroy the robot and buy a new one. And so these are the type of things that we're all going to have to deal with in the future, You're
going to be you're dead to me. And also literally.
Give me those puffs. I'll eat them anyways. The styrofoam cheese, but
I'm going to destroy you even though I'll eat these.
So, no, I imagine walking down the street one day and you have a bunch of humanoid robots that are passing by, going and doing various tasks for people around. And there's already some, kind of semblance of that going on now. There are little robots that roll down the street with wheels and things and deliver food, or you can go to restaurants that they have robots that come to your table and will bring you your food and things like that. Obviously, they have fully automated McDonald's and things that they're testing where everything gets built, and done. It's not really humanoid robotics, but things are starting to move towards that. And I wonder what that's going to be like for a lot of people.
I think it's going to hurt society quite a lot.
Is it going to be one of those situations where people see one of those robots? Because now, have you seen the ones that go through New York and stuff and people will turn them over and destroy them and kick them and do these different things with them? I wonder if that's how people will react to humanoid robots walking down the street. Like, will they attack it and just,
Good.
I think
good
it's
point.
a guarantee they would. I think they would destroy them, and also that is how the Overlord becomes the Overlord. Right. That is how the Skynet becomes Skynet. That is how the Kalons become Kalons.
Well,
and not
now,
Cylons. I do mean Kalons. If you haven't seen the Orville, you should go watch it.
Yes.
Great.
Oh yeah, that's good. So yeah, right now, currently, I can order pizza or things off Amazon and have a robot deliver it.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of robot?
It's just like have you seen they're low to the ground and they're like the pizza delivery ones.
Okay, so it rolls to you.
It rolls. Yeah, they're the rolling robots that look like one of the robots on Star Wars that are close to the ground and roll around. Yeah.
Like a droid. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like a droid looking thing. So yeah, it's very interesting. So I have that right now, and I also have the ability. I'm one of the only cities that has the ability to get on a completely autonomous vehicle, like you would Uber or Lyft, but without a human. So, and I've tested that, and it's a little scary, but that is a form of a robot as well. So
yeah, I mean those are cool.
Yeah,
and theoretically, there's been like tests that people said that if all cars were controlled by some robot or a computer structure, that it would be the safest it possibly could be because they'd be moving so fast. And
we could get more people. Yeah, we could get more people on the freeways and whatnot because it's all being controlled and
be more efficient.
I just know a lot of hackers are drooling.
You'd put the destination where you put the destination where you want to go, and then get this, Ryan. It just takes you there. You don't have to navigate.
It's not about the journey anymore. It's just the destination.
It's about the destination.
No. It is also still about the journey because in this case, you actually get to experience the journey. And you can look around and watch it as it happens rather than screaming at people around you who are doing ridiculous things. Or it's not about the journey at all, and you can just pull up your phone and look stuff like TikTok or whatever while it's going. Whatever. What's up to you?
Well, I personally want an autonomous vehicle myself just because I am visually impaired, but I'm not ready for one right now. I want to wait, until they're a little bit safer. There have been accidents.
We're seeing I think that the robot stuff is interesting and it's going to happen. And definitely the sense of having a humanoid robot that can do certain things eventually will happen. I don't know if I will still be on this planet at the time, but I think it's going to happen at some point. But I think that we're missing a much better option. Why have we not got Iron Man suits yet? I want an Iron Man suit.
Right? That is a good point, man.
So much better than these robot things. Sure, they're cool, whatever. Iron Man suit. Get on it.
Yeah,
come on,
that's
NVIDIA.
Our only way to attack back when they start coming for our puny villages.
Exactly.
I think that there's a huge hacking fear that I have the hacking fear with just these autonomous vehicles. There's a movie out there.
I have the hacking fear of regular vehicles because they have computers.
Or was a TV show. I don't remember which, but there's a scene. Somebody remembers what it is. Let us know. Our AI patron chat may be able to find it. But there's a movie or scene where a hacker takes over the autonomous vehicles and sends them all into the middle of a city or street at once and crashes them all together. And what this does is block off the ability for people to actually even get out for the rest of their terrorist scheme or whatever they were doing in the movie or TV show. And I think about that. Like these autonomous vehicles have been proven, there's YouTube videos out there, to be hackable. Even vehicles that aren't fully autonomous have been proven to be hackable because they have so many electronics and they have, of course, cell signals and everything else to allow you to be able to remote into these devices and cause all kinds of chaos behind that. So to me, it's kind of a scary thought.
Yeah.
If you have a robot that's sitting there with the capabilities, let's say the strength that we would generally in our minds think of a robot having, sitting in your home at night that somebody could hack, wake up, and make it do things that obviously would be very harmful, or extremely trollful, like just going around and breaking everything in your house. These are the type of things I think we have to overcome. But the most advanced humanoid robot right now is Optimus Gen 2, which is Tesla's humanoid robot. And of course, though, the advancement of this
is
robot...
that the one they faked?
Yes, that's where I was about to go. So the advancement of this robot looked like it had just, at a recent show, leaps and bounds above everything else, which, according to every research article, and if people have some different information, send it in, it apparently is the most advanced one with its current capabilities right now at this moment. But what it was doing at the show was like mixing drinks and having full-on conversations that were immediate. And what they apparently found out is that there was actually humans behind the scenes controlling it like an Iron Man suit, to Michael's point. And so it wasn't quite as exciting as it may have seemed at first, which is unfortunate from that aspect. But also, I wouldn't mind some other companies having some advancement. And what NVIDIA, by making this open source, gives a lot of companies an opportunity to jump in here and make this.
Because competition is very important in this kind of thing.
Very important. Because you don't want one company owning this entire industry. I don't care what
we've seen that end badly in movies and stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And also, we've seen any industry being owned by one company, not a good thing. That's why there are laws against it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So I am excited about the future, but I'm scared of it too.
Yeah.
I agree with that point. I just feel like there's also another element that's kind of weird in the sense of like, let's say that all these things happen. We got the robots and everything. Our species is very like interactive and very social. And if we're not social anymore because we have no reason to be, like that would be pretty dire, I think, in terms of like, it's like the whole, the pandemic situation where everybody was isolated. Imagine that forever for everybody for no reason, like just because we could be lazy. It's like Wall-E type of thing, Yeah. I could see that also being a problem.
Yeah, this is an interesting problem corporate America is facing right now for things like customer service representatives and other positions like that in industries where a lot of people who are younger do not have the social interaction abilities person to person to be able to handle these roles, as well as generations that didn't have these technologies that kept you, connected to your phone or tablet and other things. So they're dealing with these very real problems now. And I think COVID certainly hurt everybody's ability to socialize, period.
Oh,
no matter what generation you came from. So like, it's just, and then you have robotics, will people just, their best friend will just be a robot growing up and it will remain their best friend. And they're not going to have
already people who consider like these chatbot things their friends.
It's huge in other countries, probably in the US too, but I know there's been documentaries on certain countries that this is a huge problem for their male population and other things, that they're addicted to, girlfriend bot instead of actual human person. So like, it's going to be an interesting world that we're going to have to figure out all this stuff and how it works.
Yeah, definitely.
So thanks, NVIDIA.
Well, at least the biggest implementation of robotics that's going to be in the future is open source.
At least it's open source. At least NVIDIA is making it open source.
Yes. We don't know because they could open source it now and close source it tomorrow. So.
Yes. Actually, what we need to do is in the future, we need to have these big companies make a anti-open AI decree. It'll be like, we're not open AI. And that's what we're going to do. Like, we're actually going to stay open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you something that robotics is already being used in an area. So I watched the GTC keynote live and, was very impressed by the capabilities of NVIDIA, Isaac GR00T, N1, and the open sourcing of all the development tools. And also, I knew Disney was up to something with robotics in the future. Actually, the Disney research Disney Research, Star Wars inspired BDX droids, one of which made an appearance at the end of Jensen Huang's keynote, occasionally can be seen walking around Star Wars Galaxy's Edge here at Disneyland. In fact, I usually see them about monthly. And they are actually really amazing and so lifelike. I mean, they look more lifelike than the robots that we see in Star Wars. They're so well done. Their expressions and the little flaps, like for eyelids that move around, and they have
that's cool. So it's
little
like
mouths.
It's like the little robots that are the ones that work on the ship at the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
See, they're non-threatening. I could see a bunch of them,
and they're cute and
I feel
adorable.
like if even they were attacking me, I'd be like, oh, and then
well, that's why this is really good that they've teamed up with Disney, because Disney will make that robot.
So Disney will subdue the population, and then everybody will be like have their defenses down, and then that's when the robots take. Thanks, Disney.
Well, what's so interesting, when I saw this keynote, and I was thinking throughout the whole keynote, I'm thinking, oh, it's like the robots at Disney I've been seeing, and sure enough, here one comes rolling out onto the stage and talking to Jensen.
So all civilization doesn't end with a bang, but with a aw.
And they're really cute. And
with aw.
Well, AI and robots, is actually going to be the future for Disney interactive character entertainment. And so that's why they have something at stake with this technology and the open sourcing of it, because Disney does use Linux on the back end and they use open source software.
I really think your point there, Jill, is super brilliant. I just want to drill down on it a little bit, because when we think about humanoid robots, and in fact, like the Optimus Gen 2 robot, all this stuff, they have a form of trying to kind of look like a human. And it's almost intimidating the way they look.
A little scary. Yeah.
If you were to release a bunch of robots and get them to get into people's homes, making them cute like this, still functional,
absolutely,
but cute, would make people a lot less worried about its capabilities if, say, it was hacked or compromised or something like that, which may be that piece.
So here's the question, though: how do you make a cute robot that's big enough to do certain tasks? Right?
Yeah,
if you had a robot that's the same size as me that looked like the cute little thing, I don't think it'd be that cute anymore.
It's not cute anymore.
It's a pretty big robot.
Mini Michael, very cute. Big Michael, not so cute. So
but if it's Johnny
that's
5,
not what I said.
That's what you said.
If it's Johnny 5, it'd be okay.
Yeah.
Well, then it couldn't do a lot of things because it has
R2D2 could do a lot.
Yeah, that has the track.
Yeah,
the tread R2D2 is not intimidating. It's a trash can. So
also can't really do that much except for beep boop and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my!
How dare you? It can hack into like buildings and sure, but it can't fold your laundry, and that's what Jill wants.
Yeah. Yes.
So it can't be. That's not the solution. And C-3PO is not the solution because he's so annoying.
But R2D2 is very, very cute. We just need him a little bit bigger and more functional.
Yeah, just put some arms on them, and then we're good. They're fully functional.
But isn't that like the Dalek or something? Isn't like doesn't like a bigger one of those with arms? Isn't like from like the
Doctor Who? It just has the plunger.
The Daleks, yeah.
They're actually good looking. It's hard to make a good look, like a cute, large robot. I don't know.
But I agree. So somebody like DreamWorks or whatever could probably be someone you would want to partner with to make that robot that would get in people's homes, in which they would say, hey,
human,
this is
happy,
seems
nice
very,
looking.
it makes it look happy and fun. By the way, talking about technology, one of the things I think about, when AI was coming out and other stuff is, am I going to get to the age where I no longer want to adapt to the new technology out there, right? Where it just surpasses me.
You will probably someday.
You have already got there. You've already got there.
You've already
Thanks,
got
Michael.
there.
Thank you.
Let me prove that for you.
Okay.
When was the last time you used TikTok?
I would never use a social media platform, period. So that's that.
You're already there, buddy.
It's already surpassed me. Darn it.
You're already there.
That's fair point, man. Dang it. But I did check out new technology just today. It was my first time in a Rivian. And let me tell you something.
Rivians are cool.
That electric car is dope. Is that the word kids use these days? Dope.
Yeah.
No, that is definitely not what they use, but they should.
That is so clutch.
Awesome.
Man, it's super clutch.
It's got
doesn't
so
even
much
have a
Riz.
Riz.
Yeah, it's not Ohio dog water. It is super, super cool. One of the things that blew my mind is I've been in a lot of fast cars in my long, long life. You know, Corvettes, Porsches, friends had and stuff, not ones I ever owned. But, you know, I've had friends with lots of fast cars. And all of them, of course, when you get in, they're going to, you know, wait for a clear road and then gun it and show you how fast the car is. And usually I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. When the person who took me in the Rivian did that today with its 0 to 60 in like 2.8 seconds or whatever it was, stupid thing, my big wide butt was so pressed against that seat when he hit that gas that I was like, oh my, like the G's on that thing was kicking off. I was so impressed with this vehicle. And for a long time, there's not been an electric vehicle that's made me go, I want an electric vehicle. It's just not a lot. But after that, I was kind of like, how much are these things?
And then you heard, never mind.
Yeah, then I said, never mind again. But I did, you know, think.
For like a moment, you were interested. And then you saw the price tag. You're like, oh, okay, never mind.
But I will tell you, the whole time I'm sitting in the car, the whole thing, including opening your glove box or anything, is done from this one computer screen. And the hacker in me was going, if I could get into this computer, because it has autonomous driving too, I could run this thing right into a river. Like, it's just everything's controlled by the computer.
Same thing with the current Teslas. I'm not sure if they all have this stuff, but like the Model 3 where they announced the big Model 3 like a few years ago. And then like everybody was like, you know, enamored by the single display that runs everything. And it's the same kind of situation where it's the single computer that's powering it all. And that you do have tactile feedback and stuff in these cars, but it's very minimal.
There's not a lot of override buttons. And that's what I feel is missing. Like, it's one thing to have all of this controlled there, but I want, to your point, Michael, separate systems that control various parts of the car so that you can't hack one area. This is like sandboxing in software for operating systems. And you can't hack one area and have control of everything. And in addition, the ability for the manufacturer to push updates to my car and brick it, I do not like. That has to be fixed. Like, I need to be able to accept those or deny those. And
I don't know how Rivian works, but Tesla makes it where you have to accept it.
Yep. Like, people have their car updated overnight and suddenly there's reports that their car doesn't work anymore. Like, I don't want to live in that world where that is a thing.
I mean,
number two,
they'll annoy you constantly. Like, hey, you need to update or whatever, but you don't have to update. But eventually, it will probably they might change that because it'll probably annoy you enough where you might do it.
I'm giving some billion-dollar ideas here to electric car companies, and finally, a manual kill switch that basically puts the car in as manual mode as possible, where that computer,
absolutely.
where if I grab that steering wheel, that computer has no way to take back control over my hands on that steering wheel, meaning my manual intervention always.
That should already exist.
Yeah, in fact, I was just reading about that recently with some car companies requiring that now.
Yeah.
So that's
I think that would be ideal
for safety.
I love So here's the thing that's the first time I ever heard of these automated driving things, I was like, that doesn't sound good. Like, in theory, sure, but am I going to trust it? And also there's stories that happen and whatever. I was in a Tesla as a passenger, and every time the car slows much later than I would have at a stoplight or something. You know, like the traffic light is red and you're seeing it red, and you would typically put the brake on and then just kind of coast into a stop. And this thing would take its sweet, precious time before it puts the brake on. But it does put the brake on, and it is reliable. It just also feels way too late before it actually happens, and it freaks me out every time.
Yeah.
The control freak in you is like,
Oh,
no. Yeah.
Even after being in the car dozens and dozens of times, it still does that. It still makes me, if I'm driving it, it's different. Driving it, having it, it feels fine. You can kind of control it. But if you're not driving it, you're a passenger, it is freaky.
Yeah,
it's very weird. And you eventually get used to it to a point, but I'm still not completely used to it. And it's been a while. I've been in it many times. But the driving part of it, you get used to that one pretty quickly. And it's very nice. It's pretty awesome. Like the fact that, and also a lot of these cars have it now. There's part of me has a particular window of car that I'm interested in. It's 2015 to, I don't know exactly, maybe 2020. I don't know. Somewhere around there is when backup cameras were forced to be on cars, which I think is fantastic to have. And then whenever the in-cabin camera started, stop there. So like wherever that time frame is, 2015 to something, that would be like the ideal car. Because at some point it's going to get to the point of ridiculousness, and I don't want it. But the idea of having a car that auto drives, I always thought was a big gimmick. But it's pretty awesome when you just like hit the little lever and then it just stays in the lane. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it would never survive here in Texas. There's so much, everything's under construction here. It would just run right into
that is true. Construction zones, it does not
really
like
mess them up. Eventually, they'll get there.
Yeah. So I've been in our local driverless taxi called Waymo, and that's only in a few parts of the country right now. It was an extension of Google's driverless car system. They're self-driving cars, and the first time I went in it, I just did a short trip. I was really nervous.
Yeah, of course.
And it's actually, it's so surreal, but really amazing. They do have an override in it. So, it has a display, and that's where you tell the car, to leave or
but it doesn't have a steering wheel, does it?
Yes, it still has a steering wheel, and you can watch it steer.
Can you reach over there and grab it?
Yeah, but I guess it doesn't.
Why didn't you, Jill? It'd be like a big red button to me. I'd have to. Like taking control.
Must not press.
You know what? I think I've seen a video of someone who tried to do it, but the wheel is so tight you can't. Even if you tried to grab it and move it, it wouldn't.
I don't like that. Like if it's starting to go off the road, I want to be able to grab that thing and shut it down.
Also, why have a steering wheel if you can't use it?
Yeah. Interesting though, Jill. Like the autonomous car driving you around. I mean, that's a big. Yeah. Tesla's banking a lot on that type of technology, right? With their what do they call it? Something taxi. Robotaxi, whatever it is.
Yeah. Driverless taxi is what they're calling. They call Waymo. And it's again, earlier I was talking about how I'm still a little worried about safety because there are problems. I mean, they have gotten in accidents. And there was one time where the passenger couldn't get out of the car in the accident. Things like that are kind of scary. So
those are bugs that have to be worked out.
They're bugs that have to be worked out, and that's why it's still in beta, and it's not even in all areas of LA, just certain ones right now. So, but it's 99% of the time it's been good. So, the second time I took it a little longer.
Well, here was my experience with being in a Rivian, and we'll move on. Is number one, talking about robots and now, autonomous vehicles, the AI and stuff that powers it. I want a transformer because why not? So I want my car to turn into a transformer and walk beside me as an awesome little bodyguard or whatever.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. But number two is I don't think there was an electric car to this point that I was like, I still like the sound of an engine, the control, because that's what I grew up with. Of a vehicle like that. The Rivian was the first time where I thought, if you put any car guy into one of these things and punch that gas, they're going to fall in love with this vehicle. Any car guy. It's 850 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. What is not to love? And by the way, has rock crawling mode and everything, where you push the buttons and the whole frame is like going up or down depending on what mode you're in. So you feel the vehicle like, so it's got those awesome, like, what are they called? The airbags or,
like hydraulics,
bouncy hydraulics. It's got the hydraulics, but, in a non-bouncy cool way, but in the, raised lower.
Now I'm disappointed.
Low riders.
Low
ride. Those low riders are pretty dope. So anyways, if you've not driven in a Rivian or any other electric car for that matter, I highly recommend you sit your butt in one before you judge them, because they're pretty cool, man.
Just experience it. It might freak you out a little bit, but it's pretty cool to experience. And it's probably like the first time, like in terms of technology that has wowed me, is being in those and seeing them like drive themselves. And they very rarely is an issue, but sometimes if the lane widens and it's like it kind of pulls itself too much, like, but other than that, it's still very impressive. I would not recommend you just trust it blindly. Don't do that. But it's very cool technology. But with like that driverless taxi thing, like if you had an argument with the navigation, you know what it would say back to you? This is the Waymo.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right.
That's really good.
Well, we spent way more time than we thought on that. So Jill, let's save gaming for next week.
Okay.
And this week, let's just go into the software spotlight, because I promised a secondary community feedback. And this one is our community feedback is part of the software spotlight here. It comes from Cowabunga. That's what the kids say these days. They say Cowabunga, right?
Yes, that is exactly what kids say.
Cool. Cowabunga says, been working on VK Basalt, Basalt, and making sure it is up to date. I've decided to revamp and rename the project to better represent the project's future. I'm trying to continue its legacy, and I think it'd be really cool if you'd give us a look. How about we not only give it a look, but we give it a shout out?
Just
did.
Exactly.
If not, no worries. Well, we did.
So
lots of worries in your face.
Not worries. It's like, help. It's
help.
You're
okay. I was trying
not worries. It's no worries.
I saw the project was on halt for 2 years, so I decided to take the helm of the project. Love that you did that. That's very awesome. And things that they've changed is they fixed multiple issues, building the files, errors that were there, and they've just done a ton of work. There's a whole list of things here. Cleaned up the readmes, clarified project focus, fixed the crashes and Dockers and things on the Docker modes that were there. All kinds of cool stuff that they've added in here. But one of the things that I want to say is I was able to easily install this project. For those who don't know what it is, it basically Michael, what does this thing do?
Well, I was just very curious about this because it's improving your games, essentially.
Mm-hmm. There you
Vulkan post-processing layer to enhance the visuals of your games, which is a very complicated way of saying makes your games look better.
Makes your games look better. Exactly. So currently the build effects are contrast, adaptive sharpening, denoise, luma sharpening, fast approximate anti-aliasing, enhanced subpixel morphological anti-aliasing. I cannot believe that came out correctly out of my mouth.
By the first try.
3D.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah, I'm cooking with fire over here. 3D color lookup table as well. So I was going to say, I went and tried this project on Marvel Rivals, which, by the way, runs great on Linux. It's so easy. First of all, in Zorn OS, I could just install it right through the repository. So I didn't need to do the git clone or anything else. So it also has that, I think, with Fedora and any Ubuntu base. You can get it right from the repository, which is cool. And then you just, in the Steam launch settings, you right click on the game and go to the launch options and just paste this command that's right there on the GitHub. We'll have a link in the show notes. And it's going to run on the game. And I noticed there was definitely some visual improvements in there. Slight. It's not like you're going to see this massive overhaul of a game, because Marvel Rivals is already a beautiful game, but there's definitely some sharpening of things in there. And Jill, you've played with this as well. you've had some
Oh,
great
yeah.
experience too. This is such a cool project.
Yeah, at Cowabunga, this is so fantastic and so happy you took on this project. I had actually tested VK Basalt out using Lutris several years back and remembered that it improved anti-aliasing quite a bit in a lot of games I tried. I also use VK Basalt currently in my launch options for Steam to play Trackmania Stadium 2. And it really does a great job with improving the anti-aliasing in this older game and giving it a smoother look. And yeah, and
So are
the
you saying you
contrast.
already used the project we're spotlighting?
Yes.
Of course you did.
Of course
'Cause
you
it's
did.
Jill, Michael.
Of course you do, Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been using it for several years actually.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the updates to VK Post. Now he changed the name from VK Basalt to VK Post and all its future improvements. And right now, VK Post is available for Arch, but they need help publishing it to other distros as well. So I'm sure that will come soon.
Lots of community help here, hopefully on the
Yeah.
way. Cowabunga, thank you for taking this project on and keeping it alive. I think
Yeah.
gaming on Linux is a really important part of Linux adoption on the desktop for a lot of people. And obviously, projects like this are critical to continuing to make it a better place to game, not just as good as Windows, but better than Windows to game on. And that's ultimately what we want. So this is a very important project, especially at this critical point where so many people are so disappointed with the Windows upgrade process to 11, and Windows basically telling them, well, get rid of your PC that works perfectly fine because it's not going to work with our dumb parameters we set for Windows 11. So this is a great time for a lot of people to come into the Linux community and get there. All right, Jill, tip of the week.
This week, our tip is to check out bmon. bmon, or bandwidth monitor, can be executed in the terminal and is used to monitor network bandwidth in Linux. This is a really cool function that comes with a nice interface that lets you monitor RX and TX bandwidth and can be a huge help in troubleshooting lots of networking issues. RX stands for received packets and TX stands for transmitted packets. And if you have multiple interfaces, simply use the up and down arrow keys to select between them for real-time monitoring. And it's got a really easy to use terminal user interface.
Yeah, super simple, well designed,
nice TUI.
really fun project. If you're having issues troubleshooting bandwidth problems, it's definitely a must-have, I think, for your system. So go check out bmon.
It'll help you say bmon instead of come on.
Gosh, Michael, we almost closed the show out with any bad dad joke.
Another dad joke, but it was a good one.
You hated the last one. What are you talking about?
All right, a big thank you to each and every one of you for supporting us by watching or listening to Destination Linux. However you do it, we love your faces, especially if you're Team Ryan and want to live in my village, which will be taking over Michael and Jill's village very easily.
Actually, that's not true because you say that. I mean, Jill's village probably would get taken over because she would just be nice and give it to you. But my village would be very hard to take over because we will always be under construction. So all of your traffic navigational stuff will be broken because we won't be able to get through.
Interesting. I think it will be very easy to take over your village because you will have a masterful plan of how to defend your city, except you will procrastinate and
implement anything,
accomplishing it. And then if you do accomplish something, it'll never get updated. So once we find a vulnerability, it will be easy to
will always be there.
Yeah. Vulnerability. So, I think we'll be able to take over your city. By the way, I see you all in the comments picking your side, and some of you, very weak people out there, are automatically picking Jill, saying, well, it sounds better.
I can't believe you would pick Jill's. I mean, I get why you pick it over Ryan's, but why over me?
What?
My island is awesome. It has candy and all.
That's candy.
It's candy
and no updates.
Yeah, I have the advantage because
no defense plan.
My people are nice and sweet, and they'll just hide to avoid the problem.
But again,
it's not an issue.
it's important to remember, people, just because you say you want to be a part of Jill's Island does not mean you are part of Jill's Island. You have to become a member. You have to be a patron. tuxdigital.com/membership to become a patron. And that's the only way to get part of Jill's Island. It's actually, yes, there's a toll road to get to Jill's Island.
Yeah.
Michael, can we change our patron membership levels to include Orion, Michael, or Jill's Island?
Well, everyone would just avoid your island for sure because they don't want to be demoralized.
People know listen, it sounds nice to be part of Jill's Island, but they're going to be taken over so quick. You might as well start with the people who are going to run things from the beginning. So they're going to join my island.
Accept your fate and start there.
Accept your fate, join my island. So I think we should have patron tiers, where people can choose.
Yeah, the most expensive one is Jill's, obviously.
Why is it more expensive? All you're going to be doing is hiding the whole time. Why would it be expensive?
Because you have to spend a lot of money to make fortresses and castles and stuff to hide in.
Yeah.
Or underground.
I was just saying more expensive because it would make more sense financially as a business decision because everybody wants to be a part of it.
Because everyone wants to be a part of it.
Oh, but I want to live peacefully and happily, and you guys.
You will under my rulership,
and we're gonna make the access to the island so expensive that people are not going to be able to get to. That's how Ryan takes over.
I'm gonna put a force field over my island, a la Star Trek. So
that's why
you can't penetrate my force field.
We'll see.
My
Exactly.
shields are gonna be up all the way.
And deflector shields engage.
Exactly. And I will have photon torpedoes and
you're starting to sound like a little dictator there, a little warmonger, Jill. A little warmonger over here.
I feel like she's going to use them in defense only, though.
Yeah, only defense. I will use them if I have to.
We'll see.
Now, I love how Jill is now defending her island after like 3 weeks of being obliterated. tuxdigital.com/membership to be a part of the patronship of this show. It's fantastic. You get first, obviously, access to Jill's Island. Potentially, you have to be a patron to even have the chance to be part of Jill's Island.
To get a golden ticket.
Exactly. You have to purchase the chocolate before you get the ticket, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But also you get access to watch the show live, unedited episodes of the show, merch discounts, and so much more. tuxdigital.com/membership. And speaking of merch discounts, go check out our awesome stuff at the store, tuxdigital.com/store. We have hats, mugs, hoodies, and so much more. We have the 30% more. Actually, that's not there anymore. Actually, it's not.
But we still have the retro logo.
You can get the retro logo Destination Linux shirt, which is awesome. And you can also get the Linux is Everywhere shirt that I'm wearing. And you can get nothing that Ryan is wearing because he always does this and refuses to ever participate.
Look,
because he likes to do.
When I get my island shirt, I will wear my island shirt. But until the island shirt comes out that represents my village, my kingdom of people, then it's not happening.
Ryan, cue the Rocktopus and try and attack me with it.
Jill, first of all, I'm not taking war advice from you. Okay, you're too peaceful. You're too sweet. You're too kind. Like you're not going to be my war general. But there will be a place for you in my kingdom. We will have a little area where you could go play with penguins, and it'll be real sweet, and be behind glass, and
you'll be part of his museum.
Yes, you'll be part of my Oh my goodness! All right, let's end this craziness, this madness.
Make sure to check out all the amazing shows here on Tux Digital. That's right, we have an entire network of shows to fill your whole week with geeky goodness. Head to tuxdigital.com to keep those Linux penguins marching.
Everybody, have an awesome week, and remember that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
My tyrant speech was way better than your ending there. That's why people are going to join my island. By the way, Bob of Zoid on YouTube, when you said, Gilligan's Isle, Jill's, or the one Lord of the Flies, Ryan,
yes,
which one do I pick? Lord of the Flies versus Gilligan.
Gilligan's Island is also like you're shipwrecked and you're stuck there.
But I guess
that
it's
doesn't
happy,
sound
maybe most of the time.
I guess.
Huh. Pick mine.
So you have a 3-hour tour, and it ends in happiness, or a 3-hour tour, it ends in Lord of the Flies.
Descent into savagery. Mine's going to be more fun. Come on over the bridge, folks, to my island. See you next week.